Hey everybody, it's TheDragan 211 back with another video. I am actually going to read out some poetry for fun. Because who doesn't love a good... Sorry, that's my phone. My bad. Fuck, shut up. Okay, anyway. I'm going to read some poetry. I'm actually studying for finals, so this is a way for me to study for finals. And for your pleasure, because I will most likely screw up most of these poems. Yeah, so it's all about Prometheus. Honestly, these poems are going to have about, like, a theme about Prometheus and his story. If you guys don't know his story, Prometheus was a titan who helped Zeus, like, try to destroy the rest of the titans to get power, like, with Cronus, like, his father and all that stuff. So he was actually a good guy to Zeus. He was Zeus's aide and all that jazz. But then Prometheus stole fire from the gods and gave it to us humans, and gave the humans, like, things like art and blind hope. Lots of gifts, actually. He's been accredited to a lot of things, actually. I don't have time to give you the whole list of things that he has given us, but he's pretty much our, like, best god ever. If you are a Greek believer. Anyway, so what he got punished for this, though, because Zeus is like, what the hell, I got all this power, I might as well just, use it on another titan. And he pretty much sent Hephaestus and his two ascendants, Kratos and Bia. So if you don't know your Greek, Kratos and Bia, it means power and strength. Since they sent him to the very edge of the earth, at the very edge of the ocean, or Oceanus, and has bounded him up in chains to a big rock. That's why Hephaestus was there, so he could do that, even though he didn't want to. And then Prometheus was tied there, and he had to sit there and suffer for eternity, really. That's what the punishment was. And what happened was a liverbird, or no, an eagle, sorry, sorry Liverpool supporters, a liverbird, eagle, came and ate out his liver every day, and it just regrew, because he's a titan, right, so he's immortal, he never dies. So that was his punishment. So, like, now I'm gonna read, like, just a bunch of poems by, like, Friedrich, Jacobi, Byron, and this poem doesn't have an author, but that's fine. Oh, and then there's Shelley, but I don't think I'll do Shelley today. We'll see. We'll see how well I do with the other poems. So I'm going to start with Jacobi's poem, and it's just called Prometheus, written in 1774. Alrighty, so here he's addressing Zeus directly. And I'm not going to tell you the meaning of the poem because I don't care. I just want to read poetry because it's fun. It can be really, really exciting. So, here I get. Shroud your heaven, Zeus, with cloudy vapors, and do as you will, like the boy that beheads thistles with oak trees and mountain tops. You must, my earth, now abandon to me and my hut which you do not build, and my hearth, whose globe you begrudge me. I know of nothing poorer under the sun than you gods. You are barely nourished by sacrificial offerings and prayerful exhalations. Your majesty, and would starve were not children and beggars hopeful fools. When I was a child, I did not know the in or out. I turned my wandering eyes toward the sun, as if beyond it there were an ear to hear my lament, and heart like mine to take pity on the afflicted. Who helped me against the Titan's mischief? Who delivered me from death, from slavery? Did you not accomplish it all yourself, holy burning heart? And glowed, young and good, deceived, your thanks for salvation to the sleeping one above? I should honor you? For what? Have you softened the sufferings ever of the burdened? Have you stilled the tears ever of the anguished? Was I not forged as a man by almighty time and the eternal fate by masters and yours? Do you somehow imagine I should hate life, flee to the desert because not every flowering dream may bloom? Here I sit, forming people in my image, a race to be like me, to suffer, to weep, to enjoy and delight themselves, and to mock you as I do. Pretty harsh, right? Anyway, moving on to Mr. Lord Byron, who was a crazy, crazy guy. Love affairs, exile, debt. Anyway, Mr. Byron. So this is from Ode to Napoleon Buonaparte. And you're like, what? Why do we talk about Napoleon? I don't get it. Well, there's actually mention of Prometheus in his poems. So let's begin, shall we? Thou, Timur, in his captive's cage, what thoughts will there be thine? while brooding in thy prison rage, but one the world was mine. Unless, like he of Babylon, all senses with thy sceptre gone, life will not long confine that spirit poured so widely forth, so long obeyed, so little worth. Or like the thief of fire, Prometheus from heaven, wilt thou withstand the shock, and share with him the unforgiven his virtue and his rock. Foredoomed by God, by man accursed, and the last fact, though not thy worst, the very fiend's arch mock, and he in his fall preserved his pride, and if a mortal had a proudly... My bad. 1 second, I'm going to say that a little, repeat it. And if a mortal had as proudly died. Again, so it's sort of similar. You know, Napoleon, he was exiled for being crazy and ruined all of Europe for at one point, and then was an idiot and tried to attack Russia during winter, which is just always a stupid plan. Always a stupid plan, because Russia's huge, so if you attack Russia in winter, you're going to freeze, and you're going to be starved to death. Anyway, so Napoleon was exiled, and then Prometheus was exiled for his crime, so they have similar things. So that's what that poem was about. Here's another one. I believe this is Byron as well, because it is under his sort of like page here that I'm on. But this is written in 1816. So here we go. Titan, to whose immortal eyes the sufferings of mortality seen in their sad reality were not as things that gods despise, but was thy pity's recompense, a silent suffering and intense, the rock, the vulture, and the chain, all that the proud can feel of pain, the agony they do not show, the suffocating sense of woe, which speaks but in its loneliness, and then in is a jealous lest the sky should have a listener, nor will sigh until its voice is echoless. Titan, to these... Titan, to thee the strife was given between the suffering and the will, which torture where they cannot kill, and the inexorable heaven, and the death tyranny of fate, the ruling principle of hate, which for its pleasure doth create the things it may annihilate, refusing thee even the boon to die, the wretched gift eternity was thine, and thou hast borne it well. All that the thunderer wrung from thee was but the menace which flung back on him the torments of thy rack. The fate thou didst so well foresee, but would not to appease him tell, and in the silence was his sentence, and in his soul a vain repentance. An evil dread so ill disassembled, that in his hand the lightnings trembled. The godlike crime was to be kind, to render with thy precepts less the sum of human wretchedness, and strengthen man with his own mind, and but baffled as though wind from high, stolen by patient energy in the endurance and repulse of thine impenetrable spirit, which where'd I go? Crap. Oh, okay, spirit, which earth and heaven could not convulse. A mighty lesson we inherit. Thou art a symbol and a sign to mortals of their fate and force. Like thee, man is in part divine, and troubled stream from the pure source. And man in portions can foresee his own funereal destiny, his wretchedness and his resistance, and his sad unallayed. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. God, I promise you, I have read these poems before. I have. Okay. His own funereal destiny, his wretchedness and his resistance, and his sad unallied existence, to which his spirit may oppose itself, and equal to all woes, and a firm will and a deep sense, which even in torture can descry its own centered recompense, triumphant where it dares defy, and making death a victory. There you go, a little bit of some rebellious kickback there. And this is going to be my last poem for this video, because honestly, the end with Byron is probably the best thing ever. Byron, I love studying Byron. If you ever want to look up Byron's works, go for it. It may be a little confusing for you, but it's just like reading it is so smooth if you don't scrub as much as I have. Just saying. Anyway, so this is called The Prophecy of Dante, 1821. Dante isn't fire, no. Anyway, time to begin. So, for what is poesy but to create from overfeeling good or ill, and aim at an external life beyond our fate, and be the new Prometheus of new man, bestowing fire from heaven, and then too late finding the pleasure given repaid with pain, and vultures to the heart of its bestower, who having lashed And vultures to the heart of the bestower, who having lavished his high gift in vain, lies to his lone rock by the seashore. So be it, we can bear, but thus all they whose intellect is an that's not an English word, overmastering power, which still recoils from its encumbering clay, or lightens it to spirit whatsoever, the form which their creations may essay. Ave bards. Our bards. Bards. Bards are singers. So Byron here is just sort of like questioning like what is good, what is bad, if God is, well, he's questioning God in a sense. Like, if God is so good, why does he do these things? Why does he punish Prometheus for giving humans such an awesome gift? And yet at the same time, he punishes it for them because he wasn't able to do it himself or something like that. Like, he's just questioning, like, if things are so good, why is there bad? That's mainly what Byron's all about. He's always questioning the faith of, like, religion and humanity and who's right, who's wrong, what's right, what's wrong. Like, back in his other poem here, like Prometheus with the godlike crime, that's always, like, it's always about that for Byron. I would go into Shelley, but I don't know. Shelley's just, she's just strange, too. But yeah, so that's poetry for you. I'm sorry for all my mistakes. Nobody's perfect. You live in, you work. No. So that was fun. I hope you guys enjoyed the poetry. If you want to know the titles again, I'll give them here quickly. So, Friedrich Jacobi, he wrote the first one, Prometheus, in 1774. Byron wrote the Ode to Napoleon Buonaparte in 1814, and then Prometheus in 1816. And also Prophecy of Dante in 1821. Those are the poems I've read out to you guys. I hope you enjoyed them. I hope I did my best. And yeah, we will see you guys in the next video.